Alright, for this video, this is problem number 13, section 3, or problem number 32, the last one in the MCA test prep. We are looking at graphs that represent a proportional relationship. So this question, it's either going to be very obvious, or it's going to be, you're going to have no idea. That's kind of how this works. The big thing is it comes down to vocab. Do you know what the word proportional and what a proportional relationship is? This question asks us to select the graph that represents a proportional relationship and say why it does. So this is really kind of getting at, do you know what proportional relationship is or not? The first thing when looking at it, it's hard to kind of narrow down which graph maybe, like you can't quite like X off one or the other, but you gotta look at it and kind of see. If you have no idea, maybe I would look at this one right here. I would maybe look at this graph and be like, you know, a proportional relationship, there's something about it that might not look right. But truthfully, if you don't know, you don't know. Best is to make your best educated guess. But let's talk about what a proportional relationship is. There's two things that makes it a proportional relationship. The first one is it goes through the origin. So what the origin is the point 0, 0. Or in this case, on a graph like this, it's this corner point right there. So the very first thing about a proportional relationship is the graph must go through the origin. So if you at least know that part, you can then cross off two graphs. And you know it's not going to be this one, and it's not going to be graph 1. So not graph 1 or graph 4, because looking at it, neither of them go through that origin point that we talked about right here. The next thing is the next idea about a proportional relationship. Proportional you can kind of think of as, you know, you have fractions that can be proportional, like 1/2 and 2/4 and 4/8. They all equal each other. They're all proportional. They're kind of the same, as how I like to think about it. And when it comes to a proportional relationship, you want your slope to be the same. So you want to have a constant slope, or the same slope. So constant slope, or in this kind of example right here, you want to have the same slope. So when looking at a constant slope, that means that you're going to have the same rise over run. When looking at the graphs up here, to have a constant slope, it must be a straight line. So with that being known, that in order to have a constant slope, it must be a straight line, we can go ahead and cross off graph number 2 because it is not a straight line. That leaves us with graph number 3 to be our solution. It is a constant slope, and it goes through the origin that we want. So when it comes to choosing a graph, it would be graph number 3. And why is it graph number 3? Because it goes through the origin, as we talk about right here. Goes through the origin. So we can go ahead and write goes through the origin. And secondly, it has a constant slope. So those are the two key things to make a graph proportional relationship or not. So when it comes to having a problem like this, it's really important to know those key vocab words, or else make your best educated guess. Alright, I hope this video helped out some.